bluerzor is still alive, and they do have vision on top. They're gonna have Adam on the back of the pit in a bunch of soldiers.
Flash in a
Can he
dream.
do it?
He get in? He did! He's got it! Heretics steal the Baron! bluerzor, that is a game-saving play!
Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters Summer Finals, where Team Heretics just proved everyone that they're here to win the trophy, and they are so close to achieve this as they move to match points at 2-0. What a turn of events, guys.
Yeah, and I think it was significant in that game because it got a bit messy, it got a bit scrappy, but also they were on red side, right? Which we said, like, going into game one, they had the advantage, they had side selection, but game two, we felt like this would be the edge for BDSA to come back in, and they didn't manage to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact BDSA kind of took their foot off the gas to me in draft in terms of like looking for straight up proactivity from the get-go. You know, going Sivir, Azir, Yuumi, you're not really trying to skirmish from minute one. You're trying to hit 2.5 items, 3 items so that these carries can play out these front-to-back fights. And unfortunately, a couple of events went one particular way, which denied a particular Vi from playing League of Legends in the early game. But I feel like it was a completely different change of tune from BDSA that we don't often see in this particular sort of theme, I felt like.
And we thought about targeting Ada on the top lane, and here I feel like Heretics banned the right champion for him. Aatrox was out, Darius was out as well. No point in picking Olaf. They did the research.
Yeah, I think completely they really trimmed the pool, and then because Adam went in the second rotation, Olaf was then gone as well. So put him in a verse spot. I honestly thought that maybe the Gnar would come out here, but opted for the Renekton. The big thing for me to mention, though, is the fact that Jackspektra got the Lucian Nami, and obviously really strong performer on that, but this is kind of the issue, right? You ban Calista, you ban Draven, and I agree with those bans completely, don't get me wrong, but then he still gets Lucian Nami, one of the strongest, most aggressive bot laners. It just feels like he still got what he wanted.
Yeah, and the other thing on top of all of that is Sheo didn't also get his Azir. Not his Azir, rather his Sejuani, and I think that's also been the other key pick for him. Sure, the Vi kind of fulfills a similar role, but in terms of level of performance, it feels like Sheo's found his groove more on this champion. And I think just being able to find core win conditions from basically the first 3 picks, whilst denying most of them away from what we typically characterize BDSA with, it just felt like a massive win from that moment.
Can I just say how much I love the topside picks from Heretics? Because Wukong Orion is obviously a really potent teamfight combo. But Wukong Sejuani, I feel like is the anti-Adam combo, right? You're into this beefy tank who you're not really going to be able to apply too much pressure to, but also, how can you play aggressive in lane when Wukong can like fly over a wall, instantly stack up the Sejuani passive, and you are just dead? And we saw that happen in the game, but it definitely restricted his ability to play.
Let's talk a bit more about Wukong and bluerzor, especially because in the early game, the way he managed to create opportunities with his pathing was just beautifully done.
Yeah, I mean, this was such a rough one for Sheo to get zoned off here, but you have to respect it, right? The Wukong dives on you, stacks a passive, no way you can contest. But it just went from bad to worse, right? It's not enough to just deny him the blue buff, completely cut him out from the jungle, and then even then, he could clear the Gromp here, but he just decides, no, it's not about me getting ahead, it's about Sheo being behind.
And why handshake when you can just outright win? He knows on the bottom side of the map, he's got pushing 2v2, and like, it's the wall of, we didn't see this in live because the camera wasn't panned here. He flashes over the wall, steals it away, and now all of a sudden, Sheo has nowhere to farm. He has to reset because he's already been chunked out. bluerzor gets level 3 off of the mid lane gank plus the XP that he gets there. And then he's able to control everything for the next couple of minutes as well.
What's funny is you hear about, fast clearers, maybe like a 3-minute full clear, 3:15. He hadn't done a single camp by the time most champions can do a full clear. That was painful. I feel like any jungle main watched that and felt like some deep guttural pain.
It hurts. Just watching. It hurts just watching. But it also gave most agency to the bot lane, it feels, because we talked about Lucian and me and how it's supposed to be a strong matchup. And this team rolled here in the early game, as they should.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Yuumi here, because one of the things that got nerfed with Yuumi is the fact that her healing isn't as potent, right? The cooldown got nerfed pretty heavily. They give us some more damage, sure, but it just looked like a rough time in lane. And Sivir already, one of the reasons why we've seen Calista, Draven, Lucian so prominent when there was Sivir and Zeri is because, frankly, all 3 of those picks kind of dumpster Sivir. So, sure, it gives you a big scaling option, but the laning phase just was not fun.
Yeah, and the other thing, you kind of yield lane into not just Nami Lucian, but Jackspektra and Heretics when they want to play towards the bottom side. And I think when the early game goes as catastrophically as it does in this particular game, there is no bailout here for the bottom side.
Yeah,
you can't even
that's
really.
Renata.
That's Renata. Thank you. I know. But you know, you can't even really rely on mid lane priority because again, you know, because of the early pathing, bluerzor shut that down for the first couple of levels just by pathing through and just chunking Reeker down.
But it's interesting though, because even though they had a really good early game and managed to get the advantage around this phase of the game, BDS find opportunities in mid-game and managed to buy time, even though the situation was really doomed for them.
I think they did a fantastic job of stalling. And, you know, as much as I was critical of the bot lane in the 2v2, right, if you have a Yuumi, if you have a Sivir on your team, you're going to benefit from the game going a bit late. And I think they did a really good job of, like, setting up a defensive line. And then when people would aggress from Heretics, they would back off and play defensive. And also, Reeker just had a pretty fantastic game on the Azir where he was just a force to be reckoned with sometimes in these fights. Like, he dashes forward and everyone else has to dash away on Heretics.
Yeah, just putting the soldiers down at some points in choke points just entirely denies access for Heretics. And I think the big thing for me, the reason why this game slowed down so much, like you said, I think it's the Yuumi pick, but also just the nature of the compositions, right? Yuumi, Sivir, Azir, they kind of don't mind people coming into them. And that was a lot of what Heretics have to do with the Sejuani Wukong to follow up on those dive options.
I will say one thing is that because Heretics had both the Sejuani and the Wukong as these like engage options, and they had good follow-up with the Orianna and the Nami, and even the Lucian can sort of instigate fights by himself, it definitely felt like Heretics were constantly fishing for windows to go in, whereas the problem on the other side, like if Sejuani dashes forward and throws an ult and it misses, fine. You just back away, reset. But when your only engage was the Vi can't really like half measure engages. It's like you're in, or you're out. And I feel like as a result, we saw Heretics fish for engages a lot. And then when they found one, it really worked. Whereas on the other side, a bit more finicky to find those angles.
And even though BDS was coming back and they had the champions to do so, something happened. A Baron still that we're going to look at right now. And I just want you guys to tell me how bluerzor made it happen.
I don't know. bluerzor's just the better D key presser, I suppose. His smite was working, and unfortunately, in this case, Sheo's was not. I mean, you had this fight and exchange kind of breakout here. We had the Nami ult as well kind of go awry, and that could have changed things. You can see, again, the strength of this composition for BDSA, cutting back, picking off targets that dive too far in this sort of Sejuani Wukong combination. They find the favorable fight. They have the numbers advantage, and again, things like Azir start to come online to stop some of the entrances. But again, they all commit, and it's only Adam playing bodyguard out here.
Yeah, and a big thing is they don't have a ward in that brush where everyone from Heretics was stacked. So it was actually quite tricky to see the exact moment where bluerzor stepped out from the brush. And we compare that to game one when we saw that Baron set up from Heretics. It was so much cleaner, right? They did everything they needed to so that when the enemy team approached, they had the engage angle. And they went in with it knowing, okay, enemy jungler has flash. We can't 50-50 this. Whereas here, I think BDSA were just a bit disrespectful, didn't do the right prep. You know, they were in a position where they should have been able to get the Baron, but if you don't set up for it correctly, you will be punished.
I mean, you talked about Jackspektra being one of the main players in this Heretics team, but to me it feels like both jungle, mid lane, AD carry here, the whole team is alive for Heretics.
Yeah, it's you know, as the saying goes, they're firing on all cylinders, it feels like right now. It doesn't really feel like at the moment there's a particular weak point that we've really noticed from Heretics at the moment. And I'm really looking at BDSA to sort of refine the form that got them here in the first place. Actually look to do something here because, again, Heretics kind of getting all their win condition, like draft win conditions, and playing it out almost freely so far this series.
Yeah, and it's so tough because now BDSA are in this position. Well, obviously, you know, the only way they win this series is reverse sweep, but they have one game on red side, on blue side, presuming they pick blue side again.
They have blue side again.
Yeah, and then if they win that game, it's Heretics having choice for the rest of the series. So we saw how dominant Heretics were able to be in that game one. It really puts them in a rough spot. But at the end of the day, BDSA can only approach it from a one game at a time sort of system. They put up a big challenge in this game. I think we can absolutely say that. We can see for the goal graph, it was very back and forth. And even look the damage Reeker did on that Azir. There's definitely a lot of potential here from BDSA. They are still playing at a decent level. It does just feel like Heretics have the edge. So I don't think this is going to be a clean sweep, but BDSA really need to find their momentum in this game 3.
I was about to say, even though they have what it takes and they're smart enough about the game to come back, it's just also a matter of momentum. And because they didn't lose any games in the tournament before finals, I'm just wondering how much you can be tilted from 2 games like this and how hard it's going to be to come back from them.
I don't know if it's necessarily even tilt, because to me, there comes a point, sure, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to scrims, right? But when you play so many stage games like this, you pretty much don't get challenged for a very long time, and you don't really lose too much. And it's been, what, like well over a month since LFL finals have happened now. How used to you are you to being down 0-2 in a situation like this where you've almost handily been defeated 2 times?
I think as well, like obviously this is like a tournament format compared to, you know, like a league and a regional league. But you look at, there's so many instances where teams have been super dominant in the regular season to kind of flop later on, right? V5 in the LPL, Rogue historically have done that quite a bit in the LEC, although obviously they nailed it this time. But I think it's one of these things where if you don't get challenged, right, if what you are doing works, it's so much harder to look at it from a constructive point of view, right? If what you are doing works, it's very hard to go, okay, let's change that and improve as a result. And I think BDSA, everything was working, and they were struggling to find like things they had to fix when they're not being exposed. And so as a result, suddenly you go 0-2 down. It's so hard to adapt to the series when you're suddenly learning about these glaring issues. Oh, when we did that, that was incorrect, and then it ends up backfiring heavily.
And it do or die now for BDS Academy, as they're only 1 game away from going down 0-3 in this final. And with that, once again, I'll give it to your casters, Trouble Inc., Nymeria, and Initialize. Take it away, guys.
A pleasure as always, Law. Who thought we would be here standing down a 2-0 to Heretics? 3-2 in the quarterfinals versus the Unicorns of Love Sex Edition. 3-1 versus the LFL First Seed and LDLC. Now looking down a potential 3-0 against the formerly undefeated BDS Academy.
I think Ox had a very valid point over on the desk where he's like, BDS have not been challenged. How do you know what you're doing wrong if you haven't been challenged officially?
Right.
Because scrims can go whatever in the world you want. It's not going to necessarily translate to this. I think it was Sheepy from Unicorns of Love that said, Heretics suck in scrims, and then they show up and do this in officials, right? And for BDSA, when was the last time they got challenged? From LDLC all the way to these finals, where Crownie said, well, we didn't have the best read in the meta, well, we weren't just on a good day, but that's all you need, 1 bad day.
I think I have a caveat to that, because, yeah, they've been on this undefeated run. For me, I still saw a huge amount of improvement, of development, of evolution from BDS Academy throughout this tournament. Came into the quarterfinals, played more towards that bot side in a way which we hadn't seen before. They've continued that onwards. But now, some of those things which they've taken for granted, taken for sure would happen, that top side dominance, the ability to rule the early and team fights, hasn't been true today.
And 2 very different drafts and playstyles from the squad as well.
Yes.
All
I'm
right,
sorry,
go on.
Initialize.
No,
Yes.
go. This is important.
Sheo's Poppy is massive. 10.5 KDA, 100% win rate. The guy is an absolute freaking beast on this champion. His damage numbers for a tank are outside of this world, and I'm so happy just to see him on pure comfort. Either Sejuani or the Poppy. This time it's going to be the Poppy, but now they also have the chance, if they want to pair it up with the Sejuani and send it to top lane for Adam.
So, Jackspektra and whiteinn see the Poppy, they lock in a kill lane, bot lane again. Now, of course, the Lucian does have some issues with the Poppy, particularly if the Poppy gets right on top of them. Typically, though, as the Lucian, you're trying to play at a range where Poppy struggles to really get that W on top of you, though. But even with that, Heretics, last draft, remember that they left the Nami until 3rd pick to pick up another power pick. That's not been the case in this draft. They want to have a bit more ability to respond to what BDS Academy lock in this 2nd rotation.
And this time they have the chance to lock in something like a Karma or like a Lux that usually gets banned away on the 2nd rotation from the other team when you've locked in that Caitlyn. But they're gonna prioritize what I call the last and special, either Azir or Viktor. Zwyroo is extremely strong on Viktor as well, so it's a takeaway.
We saw it in game 1, huge stats there.
And I think as well, some of these shifts up, some of these like changes in priority, the Sheo's Poppy first pick is a big deal because game 1, quiet, late to the play. Game 2, taken out of the game at level 1. He was at 0 CS for the first 5 minutes of the game, practically. Getting him on something that is comfortable, that can be proactive, such a big deal. And I think I am appreciating the fact that BDS have at least found some adaptations here to see whether they can find a way back into this series.
So, Heretics had a hard choice in this 3rd pick. Giving up the Wukong, you're giving up the Sejuani. They take the Sejuani, and now bluerzor is going to have to look down at Sheo's Poppy and find an answer into that, because bluerzor has been fantastic on the Monkey General in the first 2 games.
Yeah, and not only that, you're going to have to respect that top lane pool that's completely unpinched for Adam, whilst also having to take either away the Lux or the Karma that pair up so nicely with the Caitlyn, and something like a Karma on the hands of Erdote together with Crownie's Caitlyn will have perma shoved down the bot side of the map, which will then also unlock Sheo to play for them.
see the changes coming on through. It is Heretics' decision to focus largely towards Adam's signature picks, the Darius, the Aatrox, that Olaf off the board. Last time this final ban was, I believe, the Poppy. That's been taken this time, so I wonder whether they've got something else on the board. Maybe it is one of those support picks.
The Karma.
Yeah.
Remember, Heretics still have the flex between jungle and top lane for this Sejuani. When BDS Academy are in the game, we tend to forget about that because they just always shove it in the jungle, right? But in this series, you can, or at least with Heretics here, you can maybe lock in a Renekton on 4 and say, okay, we have Renekton Sejuani topside. That's terrifying. You can still flex that Sejuani into that top lane role as well. They have options.
I'm actually not mad with the Lux ban here as well, because locking in something like a Karma enables potentially a bruiser up the top side of the map for Adam. If he wants to play something like his Olaf again, now he's going to have the shields, the speed ups, the help from that champion. So Heretics did not want to play against the Lux, but I'm thinking that Erdote might lock in something like the Karma.
Options there, and they have locked that in for priority before. I finally get to catch a game of my main champion of Ahri in this finals. This is a pick which, in this summer, has actually really struggled in this tournament, because in the group stage, we saw a lot of teams play this out very aggressively, very fast pace, but we've seen the games not be about the mid-jungle TV2, not to this level. Now, in this series, we've seen a lot of pressure onto Reeker, but typically this Ahri, even from the very great Ahri players in the LFL, typically struggle. It's going back onto Zwyroo's champion pool though.
Adam does get a hold of his Gnar, and as Trouble called out, the Karma is a pretty swift look for Erdote as well. So a lot of comfort here for BDS Academy, and picks they know exactly how to get the most out of. A champion that's been somewhat absent from the last couple series, will not be absent any longer. Jarvan IV locked in.
I do not like this at all into Poppy, and no matter into Sheo's Poppy. Last time we saw a Jarvan locked in versus Sheo. I don't think the Jarvan, it evades my mind who it was, but they did not get to play League of Legends on the champion.
I believe Yike played a game of it, and it was
I think it was Yike.
funny. It was not
and
fun.
it was big yikes.
Add an S to the end of his name, exactly.
But I can understand why they feel like they need it. When you have a Caitlyn and you have a Viktor versus a Lucian and Ahri, you are outranged. You need help getting to them. And Jarvan, love it or hate it, into the Poppy, is the champion that does get on top of those champions in a ideal scenario. Heretics will need one of those ideal scenarios. They found a lot of them in game 2. They had a lot of difficult team fights which they wove their way through, especially with whiteinn's, Nami, and Sejuani ultimates from Ayabo really helping land those knockout punches.
And of course, the Jarvan does have follow-up. You've got the Glacial Prison, you've got the Charm, you've got the Tidal Wave. You can follow up on the Jarvan, even though, as Trouble rightly called out, Sheo has got a lot of ways to counter-punch that attempted engage. At least you have got ways to make that engage, though.
Now my question does fall onto Sheo. He's playing his Poppy. He's absolutely massive on the champion. He has not 1, not 2, 3 priority lanes he can work with. He needs to get the ganks going. He needs to get the proactivity going, because even though, yes, there is that element of scaling, I feel the fact that BDSA have left their entirety of the early games just go completely all the way to Heretics, they've had to always deal with comebacks.
There are a lot of moving parts here for Heretics in the early game to fire back, though. Jarvan, Ahri, hyper gank pressure onto Reeker. Reeker in game 1 had a difficult time dealing with that. Of course, Lucian, Nami can turn any trade around in that 2v2 if you give them the right time. Heretics have the tools to outplay in this early game, which, as Trouble rightly said, should be BDSA favored on the onset.
Maybe don't have the lane pressure, but do have the kill combo options. But instead of a Heretics invade, we've got a BDSA one. In they go, 4-man strong. Gonna throw down some wards, I suspect, but nothing else found for now. Aibo gets a ward down around the blue buff on the other side.
Okay, so gonna get traded jungle information. Sheo actually going to be, for the first time, potentially able to get a leg up on their opponent. bluerzor, you don't have any right to be here. Luckily not going to get punished for it, not going to walk up any further.
I actually love this move from BDSA. They know that Heretics want to play towards that bot side of the map. What do? They're trying to split them up in half. So Heretics are forced to play and clear towards that top side. But what Heretics have done is they rotated Aibo towards the bot to push BDSA out.
They're going to try and keep chasing Sheo when Erdote in danger. Flash with the Arctic Assault trying to get on out.
And that's it. You're out of the jungle. Sheo, 50% HP. Really nice hover right there. And Aibo can actually TP all the way back top.
Now, I love this. So this is tech that we saw a lot against Kalista invades, where you would say, okay, this champion is obviously going to cause problems at level 1. Actually, the first team I remember doing it was a team called Rascal Jester over in the LJL. They would see this Kalista locked in and they said, look, you're in a top lane matchup which will survive. You're not looking for lane pressure there. Bring them down for the level 1, teleport them back up. So, Heretics use that to great effect. And that means that this great early work in terms of getting early pressure, early vision down, doesn't amount to much.
And I feel it's always the creativity coming in from Heretics, right? To rotate the top lane down bot, because of what you said, they don't care about losing the matchup, it's just a tank. To get that flash off of the Poppy, which means that flash E is no longer going to be a factor. And you've sort of dissuaded so much of the pressure that BDSA tried to throw your way in that early game. And honestly, it's so refreshing to see Heretics were looked down upon as not necessarily a favorite to make it all the way to the finals, and to adapt and develop through multiple series is just crazy.
It really is, and credit to them, that is a number of level 1s now in a row that have been so well thought out both defensively and offensively.
And what's great about that is actually the other team from the LVP at this tournament didn't make it out of the group stage. It was Giants, who of course Heretics beat twice in their regional playoffs. They are the level 1 team in the LVP. Level 2, level 3 in this mid lane.
Down the charm, into the nut flag and the drag. Reeker trying to get on out of Sheo here to try and turn this one around. We'll get a heroic charge, but not into the wall. bluerzor taken very low, has to flash on out. Both junglers now without that summoner.
Good display from Reeker, knows the jungler's coming, knows there's no one-shot potential, so the kill pressure from the Ahri Jarvan doesn't amount to much. bluerzor wastes a flash there too.
Bot side, the lane pressure from this Karma and this Caitlyn allow an early play, and then that Mantra Q, the Soul Flare, takes Jackspektra down to an alarmingly amount of HP, and with Sheo around, how aggressive do they want to be?
I mean, you can play as aggressive as you want, because it's not necessarily about always killing someone when you're diving. It's about depriving them of gold and experience. And if they can do that to the Lucian and set him behind, that means they delay his very quick 1 to 2 item power spike, right?
Now, looking at this mid lane matchup too, speaking from great experience in this one matchup, Viktor's been around for a very long time as a meta mid lane champion. When Ahri was out of meta, it was largely due to champions like this, where they hit one skill shot on you, like an Orianna EQ or a Viktor laser, and suddenly you find yourself not being able to brawl with them. All it takes is one missed skill shot from yourself and then one hit from the other lane opponent. It gets very difficult. If the matchups go against you, Ahri can struggle to fight back, and Zwyroo falling behind now.
Observers to look on the bot side of the map right now, because I'm pretty sure that is a big fat wave that's going to crash that tower.
Oh, no.
And you saw how all of this poke that comes from the Karma Caitlyn lane and the pressure sent Jackspektra all the way to the fountain. He's going to lose every single creep from a cannon wave, and this is massive.
Now, what could have bailed out this from Heretics is if you had won the mid lane jungle 2v2 and you get to, on your level 6, come down bot lane and rectify whatever the heck this Caitlyn Karma has done to your Lucian Nami. But BDS Academy, through winning that early skirmish in that mid jungle, even though there weren't kills traded, have managed to bail out the bot side as well.
And
It's 500 gold. Sorry, Initialize. 500 gold bot lane lead. Just from pure laning 5 minutes in.
Exactly that, and I wanted to call out something you said earlier, because look, you said Sheo's going to have 3 lanes of priority. That's exactly what he's had, and he's made it work. He manages to find the counter gank in mid, and now it feels like BDSA for the first time this series are able to play out laning phase with everything going in their favor.
Yeah, and as opposed to the first 2 games, I feel like Ibo is sat there going, hey guys, I'm dealing with Adam. Adam's not got a lead. I'm surviving. What the heck is happening on bot side? That's what it feels like. Because the first 2 games were
You didn't
very
say
much...
it right. It's usually team.
Question mark, bang.
But in this game, it has been a bit more of a return to what we thought this series would look like. It is stronger laning from BDS Academy, controlling that early game, and while their creativity at the level 1 didn't end up amounting to all that much.
Gonna keep going. Erdote flashing away. Cleanse on Crownie. Cannot quite find the kill. The renewal won't come through. Heal pop from whiteinn to ensure Sheo can't find the counter gank.
And these are the fights where Sheo had wished he had his flash up and available, because it could have ended up being a kill or forcing summoners away from a bot lane from Heretics that is already struggling.
This is, again, a bit of a follow-on effect from Heretics. Not able to really land heavy blows with the first couple of ganks with this Jarvan, where you do have more options into something like the Poppy. Later into the game, it can get a little bit difficult if you're not playing from a lead, and especially when you're trying to head into a lane which is already at a deficit, already down the pickaxe in terms of combat stats too, compared to just the longsword of Jackspektra. Makes it hard for Heretics to now really deal with this pressure bot lane.
And whiteinn has to stay together with Jackspektra in lane, whilst look at on the map. If I raise the min-map right here, you will see that on the other side, Erdote has already started roaming the map. He's walking around with Sheo, and he's trying to protect / shield his jungler to try and hit back. And I think there's a lot to like a mental shift when you go into a game 3, when you are 0-2, when you are finally getting your champion, you know, Reeker on something like the Viktor, Sheo on his Poppy, and might I remind everyone, Adam on the champion he has a pentakill in this Amazon European Masters with. I think it's sort of a mental boost and confidence boost to get these champions, get perma-prio, and then dictate the pace of the game yourself.
Ult just used from Zwyroo in the mid lane as well, looking for one of these last opportunities for Ahri to really take control of the matchup. Does have one charge left, but Reeker very happily playing out this matchup. It's not like bluerzor was there afterwards. Zwyroo also changed over to the Ignite with the spellbook for this play. Doesn't find anything for it. Heretics has swung and missed on a number of occasions in this early game so far.
But I'm pretty sure in Sheo's book, Zwyroo's name is written in it, because right now, Reeker is able to manipulate his own wave. He's going to stop it right in front of his tower, which means that the Ahri has to overextend. The only spell she has to get away is going to be that flash, because that ultimate is down from the trade, and Sheo could very easily just walk around that mid lane and try to find a pick.
Heretics had advantages in both the other games. They weren't massive ones, but they were 1,000 or so gold. It felt like they were able to make things happen. This time around, they are the ones down the gold, down the pressure, and kind of not connecting where it feels like they need to. And I need to see what they can do from a position of being on the back foot. Not really seen that this series so far.
But on the other side, BDS Academy, you can never count this team out. They are such a dominant team in the ERL scene. I'll get some good trades against them, though, from Jackspektra, but BDS Academy, we haven't seen what the entirety of what has made them so powerful in this third game.
Here we go. Cataclysm's available. Zwyroo has got flash, but no ultimate. Crownie needs to get away. Will flash out of the Cataclysm, but leaves Erdote out to dry. One final minion to kill before it's shoved under tower, and this Karma is being left to the Wolves, or at least to the Heretics. Flag, drag, Aqua Prism, and First Blood is traded back.
Actually, that was very, very well played right there from Erdote. To get out of the Cataclysm means you get a lot of movement around the tower. And if I'm not wrong right there, he also dodged on the charm from the Ahri, which allowed him from that extra damage, which allowed him for that Q to go out together with the Ignite. And he manages to trade 1-for-1 underneath the tower. But more importantly, Crownie gets to bank in this wave, but...
Going back, he's dead. Nowhere to go, and he'll get on out. bluerzor avoids that second tower shot.
Okay, and now suddenly this is what we were worried about, because remember what we were saying very early on, saying, okay, this Jarvan Ahri didn't manage to do that much in this mid lane, and when they come to impact this bot lane, that's not going to be as powerful. Now they suddenly find an option.
Reeker's in trouble, has got a Gravity Field and a Chaos Storm trying to trade this one out. There's a reset coming through from bluerzor. Jackspektra pretty damn low as well. Solo kill for Erdote in the mid lane. Zwyroo under the tower. Sheo flashes over the tidal wave to survive.
Wow, there is actually pressure all over the map from both of these teams, but if you're an LFL fan, if you're a BDSA fan, finally BDSA are showing signs of life. Heretics with a 4-man rotation towards that bot side of the map. Zwyroo gets spotted right there, so they know there's a Jarvan around as well. And Crownie's gonna flash away. Erdote, though, very importantly, he has dodged the Cataclysm, and he will dodge Zwyroo's charm as well. Really beautiful footwork right there to try and put down the last nail on whiteinn's coffin.
Yeah, so obviously there's an extension of this play where Crownie ends up going back for the wave, ends up dying, but in live, one thing that happened just before this, or during this, is Herald is taken by BDS Academy on top side. Was put down into this bot side to get those plays onto Crownie. Crownie had actually fallen behind in gold after this series of plays. As you can see, coming out of that, it's gone back into his favor.
Gold is in BDSA's favor. Not massively, but 2,500 gold is still a significant lead at this point in the game. Partly off that Herald play, partly off managing to trade a couple kills. Unfortunately for them, well, that gold is in fact in the Karma's pocket. It's not necessarily where you want it necessarily, but it does mean that BDSA are the ones able to throw a few of those punches, which they were struggling to in the early games of those previous two. As we have been saying, Jackspektra chunked out by an ace in a hole. People are thinking about contesting for this first dragon of the game.
Very importantly, if you look on your minimaps, Adam is making his way towards the bot side of the map to try and fight for this dragon, whilst Aibo is stranded on the top of the map, doesn't have teleport. If a fight breaks out right now, Aibo will be late for this one, even though he's also himself making his way down bot.
And this is, of course, the Hextech Dragon as well. Very valuable base stats, that ability, haste, and attack speed. It's not going to be contested at the end of the day. By Heretics, happy to let this one go. I think that is for the best. Get themselves mid-priority instead, and not chancing giving a good fight over BDS Academy, who had set up their position in the river.
I love that. I love that. I love that Adam was toying with both of them the entire time. And
Gets a Sejuani hold for it too.
Yeah, and he dodges both Charm
If he
and
steals this as
Sejuani
well,
hold.
if he steals this as well, oh my
Nope.
days, not quite. That was a nice attempt, won't quite find it. whiteinn and Jackspektra though, looking for the all-in onto Crownie, who will use the 50 caliber net to try and get on there. Flash over the Aqua Prism, but now the turnaround's pretty huge. Erdote left out to dry, but he won't
Sheo
quite
is
be
there.
washed away. Ignite goes down. Zwyroo coming over. Sheo is there. Gonna try and turn around. It's a 2v2. Gonna get the knock up. Stopwatch is burned. No flash for Zwyroo, who's gonna try and get over the wall. Heal from Jackspektra keeps him alive. For whiteinn is Sushi in the river.
Heretics are doubling down on the aggressive plays, and they kind of have to with this draft. This is something which BDS Academy have done the entire knockout. They did it versus Vitality in the quarters, who played the aggressive mid-jungle. They failed. They did it versus Game 1, who also went towards earlier game comps. They failed too, and even though Heretics are up 2-0 in this third game, they return back to this style which BDS Academy have been so practiced at dealing with, and they're not finding advantages.
And again, my eyes fall onto Sheo. The fact that he's used that Poppy again. A very unfortunate level 1. This guy must be a freaking mastermind because he's had 2 disastrous level 1s back to back. And not only is he able to bounce back, he's 20 CS up, 700 gold, has found opportunities for his team. He's using that for deep vision. He's shadowing the right lane. He's playing towards his bot side of the map. And he's allowing BDSA to have this successful early game that we're seeing right here. Almost 3,000 gold up 13 minutes in.
Game state remains BDSA's. They got the first Herald, they get the first Dragon, they've got the first turret. A lot of firsts coming their way. They'd love to be first in this tournament as well. Down 2 games though. They've got a few in a row to pick up. See whether they're quite ready to reverse their handles on that broomstick and start sweeping.
Crownie being the one forced onto again. Erdote stood up. Crownie not going to be forced onto this time.
Just keep your eyes on that one with Ibo just in that alcove. There was a little bit of gaming potential there.
No flash. Let's give it
he's
the
in
target.
danger. Ibo is there. Lands the Glacial Prison. The teleport's coming through. Cataclysm after shut down goes into the hands of none other than Jackspektra.
Adam teleports for this too, expecting maybe a longer fight. There is top lane presence from BDS Academy. Everyone's still alive, heading up there. It's a 4 versus 4.
But by the BDSA here can actually dive because Zwyroo cannot join the fray, doesn't have teleport, doesn't have his ultimate back up and available, will be up in 7 seconds. He's also heading towards the top side of the map. But very importantly, BDSA are willing to fight back. And if anything, right here, Ibo's presence and patience gives them this skill because Crownie had the cleanse, had the flash. It wouldn't matter if Ibo hit him, but they do hit Erdote, which you mentioned was also flashless.
Reminds me a little bit of one of the most famous plays in League history, which was the G2 versus SKT kill onto FLICKR. They let one person go past the bush. The second Targ one walking past is actually the target. They let Crownie go by, see the flashless Erdote, pick up the kill for that. Now, it's not going to save them, though, from losing large swathes of control in their top jungle. BDS Academy still pushing in, still grouping up, still taking from the Heretics.
5 seconds until this Herald, and both of these AD carries so important in this game. Jackspektra's largely had the better of it, but Crownie on this Caitlyn, it's been pretty legendary for him this tournament.
And actually, if you look at the numbers right here, you'd be like, damage percentage, 24.2% for Crownie. But if you look on the other side of the map, there's Reeker, there's Adam, who are doing big amounts of damage. That's why this guy doesn't have this big pop of number percentages, but both teams are looking to fight.
Maybe this is the time to make it happen. bluerzor takes an unhealthy amount of damage, to be sure, and has to get on out of there. Zwyroo goes over the wall, so has 1 charge left on the Spirit Rush. Will use to get back on out.
I was wondering if there was going to be some spellbook smite shenanigans.
Gonna keep going on to Adam, who's got the Mega Gnar coming up. Will not land the permafrost, though, so they don't commit any harder.
Brilliant. BDSA have found the champion to counter Heretics, and that champion is Poppy for Sheo. Every single time they try to pull the trigger onto their engage, that Poppy shuts them down instantly. And Heretics, no matter how much they've tried, which they have been proactive, they have been aggressive in the early game, all of their attempts are being shut down. Now 20 seconds on the next Dragon, and it seems like Heretics will be first for that one play to put their vision down.
And of course, another factor of this draft as well is that you've got this Poppy which can hold up the standard for the early game, but you're outscaling in mid and bot as well. First 2 games, that was much more arguable. There was a lot more, of course, they had the one game with the Azir and the Caitlyn, but even with that, Heretics, they don't have the same kind of damage output from the Ahri compared to versus the Viktor. The Lucian versus the Caitlyn, with the Caitlyn ahead, is also not particularly Heretics favored.
Just in time for this Dragon. Imperial Mandate was completed by whiteinn, but you can see from where they are on the map, Heretics don't want to fight for this one right now. Be a second Drake over to BDSA with little contest from Heretics.
I think they're trying to scrape by here, right? They've put Zwyroo, all the way to the top side of the map, trying to get the Dragon, trying to push in these waves, trying to force BDSA to reply to them, trying to get a few more items. So when this Ahri charm lands, it's actually a dangerous tool to try and kill someone. What's also dangerous tool is that Poppy, who's trying to kill Ivo.
Yeah, it's just trying to ward out the flank. bluerzor on the flank, but if Poppy is there, can't stop the Jarvan getting into the backline should they choose a fight.
Sheo just kept the top laner out of that fight for the last 30 seconds. They'll get the Herald charge off as well. Mid lane turret falls, mid lane tier 2 now down to 20% HP.
And taking 50% of his HP while he's at it, which means that this Sejuani, if he walks forwards, he's almost dead.
Crownie had to cleanse, the culling comes through, but it is stunned out of Reeker. Gonna stand forward with the crown now, breaking, but they get 2 towers in mid lane.
When you push in very heavily with the Herald, sometimes you end up kind of artificially flanking yourself, right? You push beyond your wards, you push into the enemy territory, and they can wrap around you. BDS Academy, they have an answer to that. They have Sheo on one flank. They make sure Ibo can't get that angle from that side. Adam's on the other, making sure that bluerzor also can't find an angle, especially since the Poppy is on the other side of the fight. Heretics, they kind of checked at every turn there. And they're really struggling to find these engages, which their team composition needs.
The funny thing about this BDSA comp is if you look at like the likes of Viktor, the Caitlyn, the Karma, between them, they don't have necessarily any hard CC to try and dissuade the fight, lock people down. It's all about the poke. But when Sheo gets these flanks, when Adam is threatening with these Mega Gnars, it becomes much more threatening. And when you've pushed Heretics underneath the tower, the amount of poke that comes through with the Viktor and the Caitlyn, this is why Heretics could not walk up.
And the other thing they do to engage is while they don't hard disengage, they will slow you down. They'll make sure that the fight isn't as easy. And the more time you have to stand there in a Chaos Storm, in even an empowered Karma Q or something like that, particularly at early levels, Caitlyn's starting to put down damage as well, the harder it gets. You need to end the fight very, very quickly.
He's toying with them again.
And Adam he's found himself a new source of entertainment, which is people watching in the Tri-Brush. They were on a ward.
He's actually walking into
the rest of them. BDSA are coming down with multiple members. Heretics have to dissuade this potential engage, but an ardent blaze and a swift retreat gets Heretics out of danger.
Honestly, he's one of the better top laners that I've seen that absorbs all of this attention from his opponents whilst also toying with them at the same time. He was able to blow Sejuani all together with Ahri charm. Right there, he was keeping 3 people busy.
Great flash keeps him out of safety. Zwyroo trades that one with Crownie.
That's checking if his hands are on the keyboard. Yes, they are. Crownie does have to blow the flash, does have to blow the crit. I
think it's mandatory.
And I think at that one, it's that one you very much needed them in the right place. But Zwyroo and Heretics, this is more of what we've seen from them in this tournament, trying to make these aggressive early plays. But as we said, BDS Academy, they have trained against this. They have been successful against this style of play, and they're not giving easy picks over to Heretics.
Now, that's one champion you can have your eyes on, for example, at this point. Crownie will not have his flash available in 2 minutes' time when BDSA will walk into River, potentially get a soul point for themselves. But Zwyroo will have his ultimate backup and available. bluerzor does have his flash to reach the backline, so if you can eliminate the Caitlyn, you're taking one threat off of BDSA.
Big flash down. Jackspektra takes a big chunk from the ace in the hole, though. It's been used as poke pretty much the entire damn game.
So there's probably like multiple decks. They've only got like 4 aces in the whole one. All right. It's going to be so many ultimates.
Twisted Fate's one with the stack deck. That's a different champion, I think, mate.
We're headed to build order, but Crownie, yeah, very happy to just put all of this damage into the champion without the sustain, the Lucian, which needs to be brawling. And if Heretics don't have the opportunity to brawl, this composition does not function. They haven't got the early leads. They haven't found those angles. At BDS Academy, they are very happy with the way this game is going.
It feels much more like a BDSA game, with the exception perhaps of some solo kills in top lane from Adam, but otherwise it's a lot more controlled. The leads are where they want them to be. Even if it's not a massive one right now, it is still more than enough to be in command of this game significantly in a way that's just not been true for most of this series.
Now, we've always been praising LFL for their team fights in their front to back, the way they can find angles to play the team fights in different ways. But Heretics have been down 3,000 gold since minute 13, and that gold lead has not been developed by BDSA. It's always been the same. So Heretics have been able to claw back as the game keeps going on. And if anything, we have praised them multiple times throughout their best of fives and quarterfinals and semis, because they had to play two teams that were best at team fighting, Unicorns of Love and LBLC.
Resilience has been one of the bywords for this squad. They'll have to show it in this one. 3 seconds until soul point for BDSA and Infernal Soul, no less. Chunk onto Adam, but not hugely damaging right now. Potential flank from Zwyroo on the top side, however.
You do have 2 item spike onto Lucian. Plus
Here we go!
Zwyroo!
Charm still held. Zwyroo flashing away. Crownie has to cleanse out of the Glacial Prison. Over the wall goes bluerzor. Tidal Wave onto Adam. No one is dead, however. Acing the whole chunk, Zwyroo out, and that's a big one.
And they just can't kill someone in the first part of the fight. Sheo still has flash, still has ult. They're on the dragon. Expect that Heretics back off from this. No easy way to contest.
So many ultimates burned, and that might be a detriment for Heretics. They still want to fight. They still want to be here. bluerzor at half HP, wants to ground those death rays. So dangerous. Big mantra inspire there. The shield keeping everybody healthy. Dragon down to 4,000 HP. Sheo.
So much ability. That's going to be the ult charge.
Throws out the ultimate. Sheo gets taken low. Does secure the dragon, however. Will not quite burn out to the ignite till just now. It's a 1 for none, but the soul point is secured.
I wonder if there's actually an outside angle of trying to just get control around Baron, especially with the smite down, but they don't have the damage to take it. Heretics get a kill, but they lose the objective.
Also, you need to be very careful because Karma is around, Gnar is around, Adam still has his ult up and available, and the HP bars are quite low on the side of Heretics. So BDSA went into this river with an objective in mind. That objective was that soul point, but Heretics are pulling the trigger for something that could be a very 50-50. Zwyroo is going to TP in. Adam also has that TP. He's going to come in. That is a full versus 5.
They're on to Crownie. Nowhere to go. Cataclysm afterwards. Erdote falls. Crownie survives. Ace in the hole. Chunks whiteinn out. Flash from Reeker with the siphon power. He gets hit with the permafrost, but doesn't die until Zwyroo gets the back end of it. Still, though, it's Crownie free, firing. One final ultimate charge remaining. Bone Meringue doesn't quite claim his life.
Now this is an angle for Baron because your Caitlyn survives, Sheo is just back up on the map, and Adam is still holding on to Mega now, which means whoever comes anywhere near this wall is gonna get instantly destroyed by Adam. Really well played from BDSA to get back up on the map. They sacrificed their support, but Reeker was able to put so much damage down in this fight.
And this is a real testament to the position that BDS Academy put Heretics in, because they had to go around that Baron. They had to try and play some kind of bait. There is no other option for them, no easy one anyway, because they're sat here after this dragon going, well, they're gonna just wait until that next dragon. We don't really want them to have that soul for free. They killed the smite, may as well try something around that Baron. But I think they overstayed a little too much, right? They got the teleports out. I think after that point, you just say, right, maybe not much more we can do about that. But ever the high rollers are attempting to, Heretics, they go for so much more. They lose out on the play.
And it's just so important for Heretics in general to have their ultimates up and available. There wasn't Tidal Wave, Zwyroo on the Ahri. It's so difficult to play these fights and get deep to try and get their resets and the kills without your ultimate up and available. Even though, yes, he does manage to do a bunch of damage, the fact that Crownie survives, you know 100% they're gonna go to hit onto the Baron, especially Sheo just survive and go back on the map.
Glacial Prison lands, but Adam will play Bouncer, prevents any easy egress onto the target that was locked away by Nami.
Close run stuff. Adam, very important that his presence was there. Aibo, once again, even in a difficult game for Heretics, having a strong game on the Sejuani, finding out Crownie time and time again, but even with that, Crownie only died the once, only died around that Baron fight. BDS Academy, though they've had shots fired at them, still holding their discipline.
Sheo might be 0-1-1, but this Poppy has been so frustrating.
Really quickly look on the map. There's 3 lanes pressuring for the side of BDSA. That top bot lane is going to pressure really slow as well. And Heretics are going to have to make a choice. How many towers do you lose? Which lane do you defend? Do you try to find and engage the fight? Because that Sejuani ultimate is down and Adam can just hop away.
The slow with the flail, but can't secure anything like a permafrost to hold him in place. And with Mega Gnar coming up, hard to continue that chase. Instead, they'll push him away, but that tower is down very much in the favor of BDSA, who are about 5,000 gold in the lead now.
Last game, it was a hero Baron play. Baron steal from Heretics that saw them into the position they could win the game from. Mind of that, if that Baron steal doesn't happen, Heretics are probably 1-1 at this point. Well, we are. I'm sure if you are as an LVP fan, loading up on the Hopium, as you should. 2-0 up is a strong result. They need something similar of a hero play to get them back into this one.
Now, as the Dragon is being set up, we can also chat a little bit about items because Frozen Heart has been bought again from Eyeball. Right here, it doesn't necessarily have the impact you want to. Crownie is playing from super far away onto this Caitlyn. He's gone for a blow-up build as well. He's not playing any attack speed. Yes, it's useful against Gnar, but it's kind of meh because it doesn't impact anyone else on the side of BDSA. Whilst if you look over on Sheo, he's got that Warmogs, which means all the poke that's going to come in from a Lucian, from an Ahri, he's going to heal it back up. Talking about the items, 40 seconds until the Dragon. All the vision has been set up from BDSA, and they're trying to stop the choke points between them and Heretics from advancing.
At least Jackspektra has got the Infinity Edge in time for this fight. It's looking like a final stand here. This goes wrong. Game's all but over. Sheo chunked out to begin with. bluerzor will tank up, VH the hole, but bluerzor knocked into the wall. Tidal wave in response, doesn't land it. Adam has to go into the stopwatch, but he's chunked out. He's going to go down. Massive chunk back onto Zwyroo, who does not have the teleport for 5 seconds, but can reset.
Okay, so that's 1 kill, but that's a fair amount used from Heretics. You don't have Sejuani ult now, you don't have your bot lane's ult, and of course the spiritual... Oh my gosh.
Tries to get onto bluerzor, who's forced back. Your jungle is gone, and they can move back to the river even with the man down.
Okay, so Crownie goes in, uses the Gale Force, gets rid of the smite, but Heretics around to fight still.
Want to try and go for it. There's the teleport. They're going straight in onto this. Sheo, very healthy, does still have the Keeper's verdict over the wall as bluerzor off. Vision critically, he can trade his life for this. Chaos Storm available, watch for it. There's the gravity field, goes in, does not secure the Dragon. Reeker's Viktor gets it instead. Infernal Soul is in, and it's burning them all down. Heretics at the stake as BDSA wipe the fight.
Oh, Jackspektra, just another one on the chopping block. Zwyroo taken down by the Krugs. BDS Academy looking to put themselves on the board.
And with all of these timers, also Adam, TP down bot lane. He's trying to shove in that wave, potentially take the last outer tower remaining for the side of Heretics. And you see how the game has been completely broken open by BDSA. 8,000 gold in the lead right now. They've gotten that Infernal Soul, which with a Caitlyn headshot, for example, it's gonna hurt so much. You've got so many squishy members. Even the Jarvan right now is very susceptible to dying if he gets hit by 1 or 2 headshots together with the soul from the Infernal Dragon. And Adam indeed is going to take the last outer tower remaining. And with only 1 minute left on the Baron, BDSA are going to leverage their soul to fight.
I'm looking at Reeker's Viktor, I think 1 death ray hits, that's effectively fight over for someone on Heretics. This is before the soul gets even taken. As soon as it's on, you look at the rest of Heretics and go, well, you got no place fighting at this point. At least Heretics managed to skirmish a little bit after this point, but that damage is disgusting.
Reeker secured that Dragon at 3 HP.
It could have been 1, it's still a dub.
That is about as close to the wire as it gets. Adam survived a gank early on, 4 HP. Reeker ones up him, literally, with a 3 HP Dragon secure.
Really importantly though, bluerzor did have to blow his flash for this play, so now he doesn't have the means to reach the backline, to reach Crownie, who has his Gale Force, but no flash available for him. And this was usually the follow-up together with Zwyroo. You get a good cataclysm, you allow the Ahri to jump in, potentially get a kill through there, get resets, snowball the fight. But right here it becomes really difficult since bluerzor will not be able to reach.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of what you mentioned there is the ideal situation for Heretics. We haven't seen that this game. They haven't had clean engages, and while they've managed to pick up some kills here and there, they are now in a position where 1 skill shot hits, 1 ace in the hole hits, and you can see it's so difficult for Heretics to fight from the HP disadvantage.
Red buff secured by Adam there, knocks it off Jackspektra. Would have loved to have that. Adam edging towards a Gnar as well, was debating a hop over the wall. We'll decide against it for now. Baron is secured, here goes bluerzor, it's on to Reeker, cannot secure the kill, Eyeball to the side, does get the prediction, but cannot secure the kill. Sheo finds the Keeper's verdict, goes to Zwyroo, taken so damn low. Adam looking for the Gnar, Eyeball running away, but he's running absolutely nowhere. He finds himself 6 foot deep.
They're running to nowhere. They've run out of time. That Infernal Soul, it is all the more punishing for Heretics if they miss the engage. Fight is lost, Baron is lost, probably game is lost.
That was your 2 tanks. bluerzor and Eyeball on Jarvan and Sejuani dove in, instantly died with 3 hits.
That's not a tank now, that's like a milk truck.
No point crying over spilt milk. This game's looking a little bit all but done. So difficult for Heretics to play this one out. Still going to close it out of BDSA. But they've got so much to work with at this point.
Should have aimed for the head, but BDS Academy are inevitable. could have been the 3-0, could have been the oh-so-quick finish for Heretics, but looking at this, look how quickly this guy just evaporates.
And this is
explodes.
why also the Poppy is so disgusting into the Jarvan, because bluerzor finds a Cataclysm onto Reeker, and Sheo stuns him on the own wall that he created himself, and then he just pops out of existence. And again, this Jarvan has not come into fruition, didn't find that early game success that we know Jarvans to find, especially if he played as aggressive as bluerzor does, and he had a fantastic game with his Jarvan in the semifinals to get him into these finals, but into a Poppy, it really does suffer.
Charm onto Sheo, but then that last fight, they landed the Cataclysm onto Reeker. He flashed, he got hit by a Glacier Prison and ended up on, 3/4 of his HP. They could not put any damage onto him. And now with a minion wave in there, Jackspektra taken down just so easily to 1/3 HP. Heretics running out of options if they aren't already out of them.
You have to pull the trigger, your towers are gone!
Just like that, they're going in. bluerzor knocked into the wall again. Glacial Prison into the tidal wave. Can they kill Reeker? There's just not enough damage. The culling is not enough. BDSA will not go quietly into the night. The Heretics' dreams of a 3-0 are quickly put to the sword. The LFL are here to play, and they will find a game back in this series.
And when BDSA are awake, they can take down any team. They were just testing the meta in the first 2 games, and now they're back to play. And honestly, I'm really happy to see them back on the drawing board. 3 priority lanes, Sheo on his significant pick onto the Poppy, and right now you have the choice. Maybe you leave both Sejuani and Poppy, and you take one of the 2 for Sheo in case you get that red side for this game.
We saw 2 games of scaling team fights from Heretics, and it worked out pretty well for them. 3rd game, they come in early game-centric draft, but BDS Academy have been impeccable at dealing with that style of play the entire tournament. They did it versus Vitality B, they did it versus Game Ward, and in this 3rd game, they show they are no slouches with dealing with that again versus the Heretics. This draft in this 4th game now is going to be so important between these 2 teams to determine what we're playing around.
Lane pressure and the kill attempts didn't work on the other side for Heretics. A well-needed shift up in priority for BDSA that earns them a win in this series. To see whether they can find an option to go all the way to a reverse sweep and a 4th title for the LFL. But in the meantime, as we cut to the break, check out the Warner song of the day, We Don't Need by Piero Pirupa.